Imagine being a rookie nurse on your first day, and suddenly, a critically injured Navy SEAL is rushed, in 3 bullets in his body, barely alive. With no time to wait, she had to act fast. What she did next would shock everyone. Even the FBI. Like, share, and subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Now, let's get started. Emily Hayes was just a rookie nurse at the Naval Base Hospital in Virginia, eager to prove herself during her first few months on duty. The morning started like any other, but a sudden alarm shattered the calm. A critically injured Navy SEAL had been rushed in from a classified mission gone wrong. 3 bullets had struck him, and he was barely conscious. Chaos erupted as medics and doctors tried to assess the situation. Emily's heart raced, but she forced herself to focus. She knew that hesitation could cost him his life, and instinctively, she stepped forward to help. As she reached the SEAL's side, Emily saw the severity of his wounds. Blood soaked his uniform, and his breathing was labored, uneven with pain. The medics were frantically preparing equipment, but the SEAL's condition demanded immediate action. Emily's training kicked in, and she realized that waiting for a senior doctor could be fatal. With gloves on, she steadied her shaking hands and began carefully removing the first bullet. Time seemed to slow. The sounds of alarms and frantic voices blurred. Each movement had to be precise. One mistake could worsen the injuries. The first bullet was out, and Emily felt a rush of relief, but she knew she wasn't done. The second bullet lay deeper, close to vital organs. Her mind raced, calculating every possible risk while her hands worked steadily. She whispered encouragement to the SEAL, who was barely conscious but seemed to understand. Her colleagues watched, in stunned silence, some holding their breath, unsure if a rookie could pull this off. Sweat poured down Emily's face as she concentrated, blocking out fear and focusing solely on saving his life. The third bullet proved the most dangerous. It had lodged near the ribcage, threatening internal damage if removed incorrectly. Emily adjusted her grip, steadying her nerves. Every second felt like an hour as she carefully extracted it. The SEAL's vitals were weak, but the immediate threat had been removed. Emily's adrenaline surged, but she remained calm, performing each step methodically. The room was filled with tension and awe. No one expected a rookie nurse to pull off such a feat. The medics began to stabilize him, preparing for surgery, but Emily knew her quick thinking had given him a fighting chance. Finally, with all 3 bullets removed, Emily stepped back, exhausted but relieved. The SEAL, still conscious but critically injured, looked at her with gratitude in his eyes. Just then, the FBI agents arrived, their presence sending a new wave of tension through the room. They asked a single, piercing question that hinted at the bigger story behind the ambush. Emily realized that her actions had not only saved a life but had also become part of a much larger investigation. In those tense moments, she understood the weight of her courage and the unexpected impact a rookie nurse could have in the face of danger. The room was tense as the FBI agents stepped in, their presence instantly shifting the atmosphere. Emily's hands were still trembling from the adrenaline, but she knew she had to answer every question accurately. The lead agent's gaze was sharp, and his first words cut through the chaos. Where did this attack happen, and who else was involved? Emily recounted everything she had seen, from the ambush that injured the SEAL to the exact sequence of events in the ER. Every detail mattered, and she realized that her actions were now part of a federal investigation. The SEAL, lying on the gurney, struggled to speak but managed to whisper fragments of information. Emily listened carefully, piecing together what little he could communicate. The FBI asked her to describe each bullet wound and her method of removal. She explained how she had stayed calm, focusing on precise movements, despite being a rookie. Her bravery had not gone unnoticed. Even the senior medics nodded in respect. Emily realized that saving him had been only the first part of the challenge. Now the story behind the attack was unraveling. Hours passed as the agents worked, cross-checking her account with other intelligence. Emily stood by the SEAL's side, monitoring his vitals and giving reassurance. The hospital staff moved efficiently, balancing emergency care with security measures. The FBI's single question about accomplices hinted at a potential threat beyond the base, and Emily felt a shiver of fear. She had never imagined that her first months as a nurse would involve not only saving a life, but also contributing to a critical national security case. Every moment felt surreal, like she had stepped into a story bigger than herself. By evening, the SEAL's condition had stabilized, thanks to Emily's quick actions and the team's coordination. The FBI gathered all the information, preparing for the next steps in their investigation. Emily was exhausted, her body and mind drained from the day's events. But she couldn't shake the feeling that her courage had made a real difference. She glanced at the SEAL, who gave her a faint but heartfelt nod of gratitude. In that moment, she understood that heroism wasn't just about experience, it was about presence of mind, courage, and action, when it mattered most. As night fell over the base, Emily finally had a chance to breathe. The SEAL was safe, the immediate threat neutralized. But the FBI's investigation would continue, uncovering layers she couldn't yet comprehend. She reflected on the day's events, realizing that being a rookie nurse had thrust her into extraordinary circumstances. Her quick thinking had saved a life, earned the respect of seasoned professionals, and placed her at the center of a high-stakes investigation. Emily left the hospital that night, changed forever, understanding the true weight of responsibility, courage, and the impact one person could make in the face of danger.